First, there was a reference made earlier to the drug war, the war on drugs legislation of about 25 or 30 years ago. As a member of the House, I voted for it. It was an overreaction to crack cocaine, a nominally new narcotic that scared us to death. It was cheap, it was addictive, it was lethal and heavily damaging. And we did what most people do in reaction to such a phenomena. We raised the penalty to an unimaginable height. The sentencing penalty went from 1 to 1 to 100 to 1. The net result is exactly the opposite of what we had hoped for. The price of the drug on the street went down, the usage went up, and we filled federal prisons primarily with African-American prisoners. It backfired on us. I don't want to make that same mistake again when it comes to fentanyl. It's a deadly, dangerous situation, and I hope that just the initial reaction of getting tough and sentencing and mandatory minimums is not our sums and substance of all that we do. The second point I'd like to make is it is interesting to try to step back and follow what you face today in terms of the resources of the government protecting elected officials. When it comes to Supreme Court justices, we hear from the other side, you just didn't do enough. You've got to do more. I can understand that sentiment. But when it comes to school board members, the fact that you would send out a memo suggesting that they may be in danger at a school board meeting has been translated into some invidious diminution of the freedom of speech in this country. I think you have to make a decision on a daily basis as Attorney General where you're going to apply the resources of the government. I hope that you share, and I believe you do, the bottom line that violence is unacceptable from either side politically at any circumstance. And I think if we use that standard and use it objectively, that it's going to be an effective standard for the future. The last point I'll make to you here should be said again. It was said at the outset. You have authorized special counsel to investigate the classified materials both at President Biden's home as well as former President Trump's home. Special counsels have some independence by their designation. Could you explain why you did that?
To the extent I've already publicly explained why we appointed special counsel in those two cases. With respect to President Trump, he had announced that he was a candidate for president, and President Biden had indicated that he would be a candidate. And I thought that's an extraordinary circumstance. And well-fitting within the regulations to provide a level of independence and accountability that fit within the purpose of the special counsel regulations.
Thank you. I think I've just used my 3 minutes, so I'm going to try to set an example